Hello and welcome to another instructional video from eGIS Associates. Today we're going to continue with our GISP certification series and talk about the education points required for your portfolio. We want to look at what can you count to earn education points for the certification. So you may remember, if you watched our last video about GISP certification basics, that to complete the portfolio you have to achieve a certain number of points, and it's 150 total points. For education, the minimum points you have to achieve is 30. Then you have 60 for professional education and 8 for professional contributions. And then there's another 52 flex points that you can distribute between those three categories. And today we want to focus on the educational points and how you earn those. And you may wonder, well, where did those numbers come from? Again, if you refer back to the GISP Certification Basics video we did last week, you'll remember that there was a certain benchmark that the GIS Certification Institute used for setting this up. And from an education perspective, those points, the minimum number, was based on having some basic degree, like a bachelor's degree, and having taken some GIS courses to earn that degree. And you always have to keep in mind that when the GISP was first created, there were very few, if any, dedicated degree programs for GIS. Most people going to school at that time got a degree in geography or planning or surveying or some other similar type background, but not into GIS. However, most of those types of degree programs included some basic level GIS courses. And so that's where GISEI and ERISA came up with that minimum 30 points. So what counts to earn you points under education to get the GISP? Well, there are a lot of things that you can use to earn education points towards your GISP certification. So what does count? What can you use to count as points towards getting your GISP certification? Well, any degree, right? It doesn't matter what the degree is in. As long as you have a degree or a certificate, you can count that as education point. Now, if you have multiple degrees, so say you have a master's, which also means you have a bachelor's, you can only count your highest degree. And if you happen to have multiple degrees of the same level, say you have 2 master's degrees, right? You can only count one. So whatever your highest degree, you can count that one. Again, only a single time. You can't count multiple degrees. But you can also count any classes you took to earn any of your degrees or certificates that were related to GIS, right? So if you have a master's degree in city planning and you took, to get that degree, a GIS 101 course, you could count that as well, that course that you took to earn that degree. So you get to count the degree and GIS related courses you took to earn that degree or certificate. And don't limit yourself to just courses that have the words GIS, geography, geospatial, and those kind of things. You can count any course that you can reference back to topics mentioned in the GIS&T body of knowledge. And we'll talk a little bit more about what that is in just a moment if you've never heard of it. Any continuing education style course that you've taken. So this could be courses from Esri. It could be courses you've taken from eGIS Associates. It could be workshops that you've taken for GIS Day or something like that. All of those type courses can count. They don't have to just be from a university or college. Any type of ongoing education courses can be counted. Attending conferences like ERISA's GIS Pro or the Esri Users Conference out in San Diego or your local users group conference. Any of those count. If you've taken any webinars, I've attended some of those. Doesn't matter how long they are. They can be 30 minutes, they can be an hour, they can be all day, whatever. You can count those. Any online classes you've taken. So if you've taken instructor guided online, self-paced online courses, those MOOCs, those can count. If you've sat in on Lunch and Learns, those can count. So any type of GIS related course, regardless of format and how it's offered, you can typically count to earn education points for your GISP certification. It's not really that hard. Lots of ways to earn these points. So Let's talk a little bit about what the GIS&T body of knowledge is. This is something you're probably not familiar with. I know many folks don't even know that this exists, but it was a guide first developed by the University Consortium of Geospatial Information Sciences and the American Association of Geographers as kind of a way to define what are certain knowledge areas that apply to geographic information science and technology. It's a very good book, but it really breaks down all these key knowledge areas that people operating within the GIS field, the remote sensing field, geography, and all that really should have at least some basic understanding of. So let's jump over. This is actually available online, so let's go take a look at it. Okay, so we're in our web browser now, and you can download this from AAG's website, so www.aag.org. I will provide a link to this in the description of the video, so you don't have to go search for it. But basically, you can see it here. It's a PDF that you can download, and it breaks these things down into these main categories. So analytical methods. So any courses that you may have taken that would dealt with basic analytical operations with buffers, overlays, map algebra, you can count. And that makes sense. That's very GIS centric. Obviously, cartographic visualization techniques, any courses involving that would count. But there's some other things that you may not think about that you can count. But, things like database design. So if you take basic database courses that deal with how to properly design a database, you could count those. Some data modeling, how are you going to retrieve data in setting up various ways to store the information. Any courses that deal with that can be included. Again, not really outside the scope of what you think of with GIS, but just keep in mind, we're not talking about GIS. I'm going to jump back here to the back cover because it really includes these categories on the covers. The book actually itself contains better descriptions. So let's go ahead to the cover on the back. So here we are at the back cover, and we can see there's some other things like legal aspects, contract law, liability, courses involving that you can tie back to GIS. Ethics, ethical aspects of using this information can count. So operational things in here. So staff development, integrating with information systems. So some of your basic IT courses might be able to be included in here. Data manipulation, geocomposition. Anyway, you get the idea. There's a lot of things that you can cover. Programming courses, for example, can be counted in here. Basic programming. Some of your introductory land surveying courses. And that's what I did. I actually went to school to be a land surveyor. So I was able to count my elementary surveying courses and even some of my introduction to AutoCAD type courses in, because again, it covers basic concept. Whether you're drawing a line in QGIS, ArcGIS, or AutoCAD, the same principles apply. So again, I was able to count some of those courses. So don't think you're limited to just GIS specific or geospatial specific courses. There's other courses that cover foundational knowledge areas and skills that we need to operate in the GIS realm. So again, take a look at your transcripts, look at your what courses you took, and see if you can match some things up with the categories here in the GIS&T body of knowledge, so you make sure you're not missing any potential points that you could earn in this category. So how do those points add up? How do you calculate the points to get to the minimum 30 and probably over that? Well, first, for any degree you have, again, it does not have to be a GIS degree. Whatever the highest degree you have, you get points for that. So if you have a master's or PhD, you get 25 points. Heck, with that, you're 5 points away from meeting the minimums. If you have a bachelor's, that's 20 points. Hey, that puts you 10 points away. If you have an associate's degree, that's 10 points. And if you have a GIS certificate that, is 400 or more credit hours, then that's 5 points. So, that's really going to get you started. Again, remember, you can only count one degree. So whatever that highest degree you have is what you count. Then, as I mentioned, any accredited coursework you took to earn that degree, or even if you haven't finished the degree, or maybe you got a bachelor's, started a master's and didn't finish it, right? Any accredited coursework you take can count. Remember, relate it back to that GIS&T body of knowledge we were just talking about. And the way that's going to work is you take the number of credit hours you had for that course, the number of weeks you were in that course, multiply that by a factor of 3, which is a standard number that GISCI has set, which is the average number of hours you're in class per week. So you run that calculation, and then you divide that number by 40, and that's going to give you the number of points. Now, when we talk about filling this in a moment, you're going to have to run those calculations manually before you put it into the application through GISCI's website, but we'll talk about that in just a moment. So that's how you figure any accredited college level coursework you've done. For your continuing ed style classes, so classes you've taken from Esri or maybe from my company, eGIS Associates, or Teach Me GIS, or some of these others that are out there, you're going to take the number of hours you were in class and divide that by 40, and that's going to give you your number of points. And if you go to a conference, so you go to the Esri Users Conference, or you go to URISA's GIS Pro Conference, or maybe you go to the Shrug GIS Workshop or the North Carolina GIS Conference or whatever, right? One of your local state or regional conferences, you get 1/10 of a point per day you attend the conference. So if you're there for a 3-day conference, you're going to get 3/10 of a point. Now, I would suggest a lot of conferences have either pre or post workshops or classes. Those workshops or classes that are either before or after the conference, you would count those as continuing education, not just conference attendance. You're going to end up getting more points doing it that way than lumping it into the conference. So you want to do it that way. Okay. So here's some examples. So if I go and take an 8-hour GIS workshop, I'm going to take the 8 hours, divide it by 40. I'm going to get 2/10 of a point for attending that 8-hour workshop. Again, better than the 0.1 for a conference, right? If I go and take a 15-week, 3-credit-hour college course, right? So it's going to be 3 credit hours. It's 15 weeks, and so I'm going to multiply that by the 3, the set value. So I get 135, what we call student activity hours. That's roughly how many total hours you were dealing with the class. You're then going to divide that by 40, so you're going to get 3.38 education points for that. So if you consider having a degree, and say we go with the minimum, say of a bachelor's degree, that's 20, then you only have to take 3 to 4 GIS related courses during the process of getting that degree to meet the minimum 30, right? So it's not hard. In most cases, people easily exceed the minimums. And of course, you do want to exceed that because you've still got the 52 floating points that you need to fill up. So again, you can count those. Now, if you go, say, to a 3-day Esri course, that's going to be 8 hours times 3 days. So that's 24 student activity hours. So you take the 24 student activity hours divided by 40. And so that 3-day course is going to earn you 6/10 of a point for education. And then if you happen to go to something like the North Carolina GIS Conference, which is 3 days, then you can get 0.3 education points for that. So you get the kind of idea of how this works, how these calculations work, how you figure the points out. So how do you enter this into your portfolio? Well, we'll go take a look at that. Okay, so again, you're going to enter this stuff into your portfolio through your web browser. So you're going to open it up, then go to the GISCI website. And, if you haven't created your own user login, you're going to want to do that. If you're not sure how to do that, again, go back to our GISP Certification Basics video, and I go through that whole process. So you go there, log in. Once you've logged in, you're going to go to your application, again, as I showed you in the previous video. And once you're in your application, to enter your education points, you're going to go up here to the top and click Education. Then you'll choose the type of education you want to enter. So if I want to enter in a new degree, I click Degree. Then I'm going to go here and click Add Degrees and Certificates, and I just start putting in, what was my highest degree earned. And by the way, if you want to put in multiple ones just to keep track, you can. So say I got a master's or higher, and I just earned it at the end of last year. So I'm going to pick 2018, and I earned it from the illustrious Trippville University. And put in what you earn, HD, and I can type. Right. So I put that in. If I have a transcript that goes with that or a copy of my degree, I would want to attach it here and then upload the file and then click Save. Okay. So you can see it's putting it in. Notice it's only, although I have 3 degrees, right, all from the illustrious Trippville University. I've got a bachelor's, a master's, and higher, but it's only counting one of them. So sure, if you want to enter in multiple ones, fine, go ahead, but the application's only going to count the highest single one you have. Okay. So now that you put in your degrees to enter in coursework, you click on coursework from accredited institutions. So this is going to be any courses you took at a college or university that is accredited. So click Add Accredited Institution. So I'll put in the place I took the course. Now notice it did pop up a list. So it does keep a track of known universities and things. Trippville is not an actual university. So this is just me using it for demo purposes and training. Oops. Okay. And say I took this course again last year. So last year was 2018. And the course abbreviation was, say this was Intro to Surveying. So call it Survey 102. Right. And then hours in the classroom. This is where you need to calculate those student activity hours based on that that formula I was showing you. So, let's say it was 135, and then any notes I have. So any course you put in that doesn't immediately jump out or isn't easily connected by a reviewer to the categories and knowledge areas specified in the body of knowledge, you'd want to put in some notes here. Give a basic description of the course. So like for example, if you took engineering graphics, well, not everybody knows what the heck engineering graphics is. Many of y'all might not. So you might want to explain what that is. Taught basic use of AutoCAD and how to draw points, lines, and polygons, something like that really makes it easy to understand and follow by somebody. So again, once I put that, if I have any other supporting documentation that goes like a course syllabus or something, I can attach it here and go Save. So you get the idea on that. And now I'm going to go over here to coursework non-accredited. So this is where you'd put in any of your Esri courses, other courses. So you can see some of the ones I have listed: ArcDesktop 1 from Esri, Intro to SQL Server from Microsoft. So again, Introduction to Managing SQL Server. Certainly something we use in GIS. Introduction to QGIS. Again, remember, the GISP is not vendor specific. It doesn't matter what you're taking courses as long as they're GIS related. So if I wanted to enter a new course here, so say took this course would be migrating to ArcGIS Pro, and the organization doing it was eGIS Associates, because we do offer that. Put in a course description. You should be able to pull this from some sort of, website for where you took the course, or an email description or something. But anyway, so something very simple like that. Hours in the class, 16, and any notes you may have. And then again, your certificate. You'd want to attach your certificate of completion or a receipt where you paid for the class. Something that shows you were actually in the class. You'd want to attach that in here and then go Save. Now, one thing I did forget to mention, for any degrees you have, you need to submit a copy of your transcript. It needs to come from the university, but you don't have it sent to GISCI. You want to have that sent to you. You open it, you scan it, and you upload it. Because you have to agree to a code of ethics and rules of conduct. When you're doing this, we assume you're not lying and passing things off. When you upload those, we're going to take you at your word unless proven otherwise. So, and then lastly, if you go to a conference or attend a webinar, you're going to be able to go in here and enter those much the same way, right? So put in your conference in here. So say right direction in 2018, I attended the Shrug GIS workshop in Tallahassee. And then I'm going to put in the conference name, which was GIS Workshop 2018 / Shrug, which is the Seven Hills Regional Users Group. And then the location was Tallahassee, Florida in the U.S. And I put in, this was going to be days. And so it was 2 days. And then again, I would want to attach my name badge for that conference. I'd scan it and attach that. I would attach a receipt showing I'd registered. If you have to, you can get a picture of you underneath the conference banner or something, just anything that proves you actually were there, right? You want to make sure you submit that. I'm going to click Save. So you start to do all that. And with that, I can go back, or I can look at my points calculator up here. So anytime you're entering these, you can go up here to the points calculator. It shows you how many points you're working towards and whether you've met that goal or not. So you can see here that the minimum goal is 30. I've got 42.78 points. So I've exceeded the minimum level. So I've met that goal within my education. Okay? So not hard to again, get those education points. You do need to make sure you have appropriate documentation, such as your transcripts, certificates, and name badges or some other proof of attendance, but overly not too difficult. So there we go. That's education points for GISP explained. I hope you have found that helpful and it answered some of your questions. Of course, if you have any others, please feel free to leave a comment down below. We're happy to try to help answer those as quickly as we possibly can. So remember, if you need any other assistance with GIS, so whether that's implementation, systems integration, needs assessment, strategic planning, Rent-A-Tech services, training and support, you name it, be happy to help you. So again, if you need anything else, feel free to reach out to us. Contact us at our website, www.egisassociates.com. Give us a call at 678-710-9710 or email us at info@egisassociates.com. Also, please make sure you subscribe to our channel if you want to see future updates as new videos come out, as well as give us a thumbs up and again, leave comments if you have any other questions or if there's something you'd like to see or whatnot. And lastly, we've just launched a new Patreon page. So we really want to grow our content here on YouTube to be able to help y'all, help yourselves, as it were. So if you would, I've provided a link in the description. If you want to become a patron of our page, give us a little money so we can do better, get better equipment, maybe actually pay somebody that knows what they're doing with video editing besides me, whatnot, any of those things, just so we can help and use that to buy equipment to review, all these kind of things. We'd really appreciate your support on that. So on that, y'all have a great one, and we'll see you in the next video.